Jambo, Jambo, fellow adventurers, it's Mike Dooley. Take three. We've had some technical difficulties. I don't know if it's Facebook or me, probably me. But anyway, here we are with our spiritual tune-up for March 30th. And I thought very simply what I'd like to share with you are some of the books that have just totally blown my mind in my life. I think given the sequestration and the pandemic and the fact that we probably all are looking for a few new things to do in a few pockets of the day, given we're not commuting and all of that stuff, I would share with you, even though I'm not an avid reader, far from it, the books that have literally rocked my world as way back into my early 20s when I was at college. I think first and foremost, our number one tool for discerning truth, and it is absolute, is to go within, to connect a few dots. Do not take anything anyone else says ever as absolute truth, unless you have first filtered it here. I've done this my whole life. Even as a boy, I would draw some conclusions given that the church and my parents didn't have the answers I wanted. And it was not hard to realize that we must all be of God, by God, pure God. What could be not God? Where would it be coming from? And thereby, everyone, you can understand, must be doing their best. They're God Almighty. And that there can't be a devil or a hell, and that life must be eternal, and that time must be an illusion, as must space be an illusion that serves the purpose of creating the stage of our life. Anyway, those are examples of truths I think anyone can go within and find. But then you can take your game, manifesting, love, otherwise, to an entirely different level if you get some spiritual enrichment and nourishment from other places. Confirmation. And the first such confirmation came from Mom when she wrote me a little note taped to the cover of this book, an earlier edition than this, 30 years ago, and said, "Mike, you must read this." And she said it was channeled by a lady in trance, and dictation was made by her husband. I thought she had gone off the deep end. This was tantamount to voodoo. And while I objected, she said, "Mike, forget where it came from. Just read what Seth has to say about reality." And nothing has ever been the same. Seth talked about the things I concluded and then upped it exponentially. The present is the point of power. You are conscious beings. You create your own reality. Very dense stuff, but I've read all the Seth books. And then she passed on to me a really playful, fun book, two books, both written by Richard Bach. And if you haven't read Illusions or Jonathan Livingston Seagull, you're in for a treat. You can read them in an hour or two. They're about metaphysical principles, but told in a fictional story, in one case about a bird who wants to break from the flock because the flock is boring and dogmatic, and another about a reluctant Messiah, but in the coolest, most playful way. After those fun books, there was others, The Prophet by Khalil Gibran, Siddhartha. All of these books are mentioned at the link below, my recommended reading list. Then the Mac Daddy of all books, Ramtha, the White Book. This is the book Mom mailed me almost 30 years ago. And I would say it is my favorite of all books on planet Earth that I've had the privilege of reading. And I've not read many. But Ramtha, the White Book, is just rocket fuel inspiration. And it's all about enlightenment. Enlightenment is finding truth. Truth is, as I said, absolute. I think I'm going to talk about that tomorrow. What is truth? How do you know you're there? Anyway, Ramtha, if you don't read any of my recommended books, if you haven't already read all of them, Ramtha, the White Book. And then my most recent pick, Autobiography of a Yogi. Oh my gosh, I read it for the first time finally in December, thanks to Leon, the Kindness Diaries guy. I had heard about it many times in the last 15 years. I didn't know how profound this book would be. In fact, last night I started reading it again because I just wasn't prepared for the awesomeness of this book. Still second to the Ramtha White book. But anyway, you've got some time on your hands, I suppose. You're doing some inner work. You're going within, journaling. These books will confirm that life is beautiful, that you are powerful, and that we are the eyes and the ears of God. The link is below to these and about 10 more, the books that have rocked my world, and I invite you to consider them for your rocking your world. Tally ho, every best wish, thoughts become things, and you are utterly adored.